these two Apache helicopters that have come into land are going through the process of refueling and rearming. And that process in a combat situation can take just 25 minutes in total. When they're doing it on the ground in these training exercises, it takes about 40 to 50 minutes. And as part of that, they're going to swap these two helicopters around, which means this one is about to go for a very short flight, just so they can switch positions. It's very difficult to put into words just how loud this is. Even with ear protection, it's very difficult just to hear myself think. But it just goes to show, and from being here and speaking to people around on the ground crews involved, some of the commanders involved, this sort of operation is critically important to making sure the Army know that if they ever have to use these helicopters, these state-of-the-art weapons at war, they will absolutely get it right and be able to turn these choppers around in record time. And let's watch that one take off. So can you just talk through what we're about to see with the ground crews operations before these Apaches when they rearm and take back off to go and strike more targets?
So to rearm, you'll have a team out on the point, which is about a kilometre that way. They will load fuel first, then they'll go to the gun, the 30mm AWS underneath, and then the Hellfires if they're firing. I don't think they are firing Hellfires today. But then once that's done, they'll do all the safety checks, make sure it's good to go, and then it'll lift and go and spend time on target.
So if you're just able to, please can you talk us through the ammunition we have here, 30mm and the Hellfire missiles we've just seen loaded into the Apaches?
Yeah, so here we've got the 30mm T-piece as target practice. They're quite big. There's about 110 in the box, 11 per clip. And yeah, so these ones don't necessarily go boom when they hit the ground. The actual real ones do, so this is a target practice one. And yeah, they're quite heavy. The box is about 52 kg, so it's quite a hefty load to move onto the farm itself.
And during that process there, we saw a couple of the Hellfire missiles lifted out of these boxes. On the side I noticed it said, I think, 99 pounds. Heavy, aren't they?
Yeah, so actually that's heavier than that, so the Hellfire. But yeah, it's a heavy bit of load. You've got to be really careful with it because they're very fragile. But obviously when they're downrange, they're not so fragile at all. But yeah, they're a good bit of kit. Very expensive, but yeah, they're a good bit of kit.
And just on the Hellfires, obviously we know they're used to target high value enemy positions, tanks, other big enemy vehicles that need to be sort of wiped out. Just talk me through what type of damage one of those does when it hits its target.
Well, when it hits the target, it probably immobilises any target pretty well. it depends what target it hits. So tank, for a sake, it will immobilise it, it will probably destroy it. So yeah, that's why we use it. Let's say for a house example, it would destroy a house completely. So it's a pretty good bit of kit.
Well, as you can tell by the snow falling around me, it is very cold in Lapland in the north of Finland. This is supposed to be the high season, it's May, but yet it is absolutely freezing. I'm standing in front of a Swedish Archer howitzer weapon. These are incredibly mobile, designed to set up, unfold, put that big stalk out and fire and drive off all within the space of 2 minutes. Now the UK has 14 of these that they bought from the Swedes last year. They were fired here in Finland for the first time last November. These weapons can strike precision targets as far away as 50 kilometres, that's 31 miles. They cost about £3.5 million each. And what's really fascinating is some of the Swedish forces this morning have told me how the lessons learned from the war in Ukraine, where drones now become so prevalent, means that staying highly mobile on the battlefield using something like that has become more important than ever. They've told me that driving one of those things is incredibly difficult compared to driving a road car. First of all, you're going over what is quite unstable terrain, made worse by the snow falling around everyone in this part of the Arctic Circle. And also the wheels at the front don't turn, it's the wheels at the back that turn, and that makes it a very weird sensation to drive. This M270 has a 3-man crew. Just talk me through the process, start to finish, from when you get the order to fire to a rocket coming out of the top of that machine there.
Yeah, so the battery command post will get the mission from the FDC, and then they'll filter it down to us, so they'll send it over the net, and I'll be sat in there as the DC with my logbook open, and I'll be sitting there taking the mission down, so the grid, the altitude, the amount of ammunition, the fuse trajectories. Once that's all in, we'll drive to the position firing point, we'll get on the firing point, make sure we're within our tolerances for slow, not crested by trees or buildings, anything like that. Then we'll press lay onto the target, so the LLM will lay onto the target itself like so, and then we'll just wait for the command word of command fire.
And what's the type of range that this weapon can hit?
Max range is 84 kilometres. So gone are the days of firing, sitting in one place in a hide with all your vehicles there, going out to a firing point, coming back. Due to the capability of the enemy and their locked deep fires missiles as well, we're now reverting to like a lot of manoeuvrability. So going from one place, unmasking, going to the next place, unmasking, and you can be driving quite a large distance. And we've got to obviously keep that replen going.
What strikes me is the precision of how these things operate, and those drones are used to scout out any positions. It could be positions the British Army or Allied forces want to move on to, but also enemy positions. And we know how important drones of all types, of surveillance drones, of unmanned drones that have missiles and bombs attached to them, have become in Ukraine. And it's this sort of innovation that all NATO allies are pursuing, and as we can see here, the British Army is at the forefront of that. So we've seen you there demonstrate how these drones can move very precisely, used to scout out any positions. Can you just talk a bit about the importance of that and how you're able to do it so well?
Well, obviously we're well trained on the drones now. It's quite a new concept in the British Army anyway, but we just find it useful. Like we can use it in any scenario really. We've been using it as getting the drones up in the area, finding a spot in general, and then we can send the recce in to go and find a more detailed spot for the launchers to get into. So
no, absolutely.
It saves a lot of time really. That's the main thing, time's essence.